Well, hello, all you cool goblins and ghosts out there, and welcome to the Cryptic Creepshow with your hosts, the very morbid Marcus and Mary Mortem. Get ready for all the horror, scares, and macabre that awaits in the Cryptic Creepshow. Hopefully you can handle it.
Personally, I want to get in your head. What scares you?
So my biggest fear, I have two fears that really get under my skin, and those are needles, so syringes, injections, things like that. I really can't handle them. But I'm even more afraid of drowning, like really afraid. I know how to swim, and I love the water, and I love the life that's in the water. But if I can't reach the bottom, I don't want to be out there because I don't want to drown.
You don't want to drown?
So I need to stay in the shallow end.
Gotcha. So, aquaphobia, you're afraid of the water.
Well, I don't want to say aquaphobia because I feel like that's afraid of any water. Like even drinking a glass of water because I might asphyxiate. But I'm sure there's a fear of just drowning, and that's what I have, is a fear of drowning. Gotcha.
So, let's go to this question. Question number 5. How has horror or fright, the whole horror culture, the horror lifestyle, the scary lifestyle, how has that affected your life?
Pretty much in every aspect. I am one of the few, what I like to call spooky kids out there. I shouldn't say a few because there's quite many of them out there, but it's pretty much impacted my whole life. I live like it's Halloween every single day, and anything that has to do with the dark side of life, I'm very much intrigued by, and that fascination has been with me since I was a little kid. Probably, well, I was obsessed with Halloween ever since I was probably about 4 or 5. But the horror came on later as I got older.
Gotcha.
So it's me as a person, I guess.
You as a person. So that's my 5 questions for Mary.
Okay, so my 5 questions to you are going to be improv because that's the way I roll.
Okay, so let's get these improv questions going.
So what, in your lifetime, think back to when you were like little, when was that first moment when you experienced either a really good Halloween or a really good horror movie or something where you're like, this is it? Like, and you knew that you were going to latch onto that and that was ever going to be present in your life.
Okay. So, like a story from when I'm little where Halloween...
It doesn't necessarily have to be a story, but just a moment, like an event that happened in your life where it instilled your love of like horror.
I'll give you a real good one.
Okay.
So, I'm probably at this time 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
My uncle, he loans my mom the first horror movie I ever see and have any like memory of, and it was Halloween 4. Classic. It's filmed here in Utah. That's another cool thing. But he loans this movie to my mom, and we watch it. And it literally scares the bejesus out of me. I'm frightened, you know.
Like, were you crying? I want to know if you were crying.
I wasn't crying, but I did sleep in Mom and Dad's bed that night.
So you were like a step down from like traumatized.
A step down from traumatized, but I was there. So my thing that I'm crying in the story later on, and I'm gonna get to it. So what happened is I finished this movie, this horrific movie that 7-year-olds just shouldn't watch.
Right.
And I go trick-or-treating. I watch it the week before Halloween with my mother. And we go trick-or-treating. And my uncle has this great idea of, I'm going to dress up as Michael Myers.
Okay. As a 7-year-old. 7 or 8-year-old.
I'm not dressed up. I'm dressed up as a vampire.
Oh, your uncle. Okay.
My uncle dresses up as Michael Myers. After he's loaned me this movie, my mom and I watched it. This is like engraved in my memory. I'm like trick-or-treating looking for Michael. Like, oh God, he's going to scare me.
Right.
I'm on my way home, and guess who's on my doorsteps?
Mr. Myers.
He is. And I freak out. I lose it. That's all there is to it. I lose it. I run. I'm scared shitless. I'm crying. And he proceeds to follow me down the block with that classic Michael Myers walk. It was bad.
So that's pretty awesome that your uncle scared you that badly. And I got to give him props. Because even though it's kind of cruel because you were so young, it's pretty amazing.
I give him props too, because without him, I don't think I would be in this horror lifestyle.
That's sweet of you to say. I don't think if it weren't for my mom, who allowed me to watch horror movies from a young age and always helped me with my Halloween costumes and like made Halloween a big event at our house, that I would have my love for my horror. So woohoo to adults that are awesome and let you do such things. Remember to play safe, kids. Okay, so you run this fantastic little page called Horror Junkies of Utah.
Okay. Yep.
With some other fantastic peeps who are also rightly named horror junkies.
Yes.
What has been the biggest accomplishment or success with that page?
I think the biggest accomplishment and success with Horror Junkies of Utah has just been the experience of finding other local horror freaks, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. I mean, we go to a lot of events, especially during the summertime. You got a lot of these car shows, and in Utah, the horror scene is underground, but I mean, so car shows and stuff brings out these horror freaks,
right?
So to say,
yeah.
And it's some of them aren't even horror events,
right? But
they come out anyways. Right. So and there's one that I think her name's Darcy Dixon.
Yes,
I believe she did
Darcy.
the Scare Away Cancer event, which great cause.
Yes, very great cause.
I go there and there's all these booths, and you just start meeting so many people that have the same love for horror and everything, and it's just amazing to interact with those people and get to know them in their, fashion, and that I would say is the biggest success of all of this.
So just being able to communicate with those people that share the same love that you do.
Yeah, because before, I mean, running the page is fun. Don't get me wrong, and making videos and reviews, it's awesome. But the thing that I really love is when we get out there and we cover these events and you start meeting people that love and have that same love and passion for horror as you do. And that's, to me, biggest success out of them all. It's just yes, meeting people, interacting with them. And then you become friends with these people. And it's just, I mean, that's how I met you.
Right, exactly.
So,
that's how we met. A little thing called the Halloween in July Festival that Art on You Studios puts on every year here in Utah. And if Renee and Storm are listening, hi! We just did a shout out for your tat shop and your awesome festival.
Yeah.
So I'd have to agree with you. I've met some pretty cool people in the genre. And as you put out, for those of you who are not in Utah, we have a pretty small underground scene regardless of what subculture you may be a part of. And usually when an event happens that has to do with one subculture, the majority of them just come together for that one event, and you not only get to meet other people that share your passion for whatever your subculture is, but you also get to be made aware of and learn about these other cool subcultures. So that's one of the benefits of, I think, of living in Salt Lake, even though it's small crowd. So
definitely. Everyone's like you said, there's small subcultures everywhere. So we all rally around each other,
right,
and bring it to one big experience, and you get to experience that with tons of different people.
Exactly. And I'm sure that happens in other states. I just think that in Utah, just given our society here and our culture, our religious background in the state. We have but that's not to say that people in the South who are also religious don't have the same type of...
Very true.
Because I have really good friends that live in the South, and or the East Coast South area, and we talk about a lot of that stuff too, about how it's hard to be a horror kid because you have all this religion smacking you in the face and everything. So now I'm going to ask you what, okay. I can probably guess, but what is your favorite horror movie of all time? If you were sentenced to death and you could only watch one horror movie, what would it be?
Oh, man. Barney, man.
Barney. You're talking about the dinosaur?
Yeah.
That is pretty frightening.
It's
I will give you
horrifying.
that. Especially when he goes into the I Love You song and God, I can't even remember that. But yes, that is pretty
But
frightening.
straight up serious, it would be Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people know me as the Halloween freak out there.
So on that note, what was your feelings on the remake?
You know, I like the remakes in their own category, like removing that from the actual film franchise of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't bad films. And Rob Zombie added his own touch to everything and made it his. But I think he put his signature a little too finely imprinted on the films.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, the opening of the film, there's just so much language and over-the-top explicit stuff. And I'm not against that, but that's just, to me, when I look back at 1978's Halloween and the films that followed, that's just not the series.
Right.
So there were portions of the film that I was like, you could have done without this. But then again, I look at it in another light, as this is him creating or bringing the villain back to the mainstream, and it's for a whole new generation of people.
Right.
So I can't be this spoiled brat and say, it's not the way I liked it, because I had my time with Halloween, and a new generation gets their time in a new world.
Right. So I like that you put up an interesting point about, like, you did a parallel between the New Day Halloween and the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And I face that. I think myself, I face that a lot too. Like, for example, when they did the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, when they did the Friday the 13th remake, pretty much anything they've remade, you have your set, which is the original, and then you have what you compare the new one to. But then you always take in consideration, well, this is a different time, and they elaborated a little bit more about this history or that history or this part of the story, and then you kind of have to separate them. So, and that's kind of like when I said I couldn't pick one favorite, that's the exact reason why. Is because the way that my preferences, I get very categorized in my likings of things. So it gets very difficult for me because I'll like something for one reason, but I'll like something else equally for a totally other reason.
Yep.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was great because he went into the backstory of Michael Myers, and what he did do that I really liked, because you're giving me a face. Like, I know you like the original, man, but what I liked is that he pulled out the sociopath card with that. Like, we got to see that Michael Myers was indeed a sociopath.
And this is my biggest gripe with the film, is Michael, to me, was known as the Shape in the original. He was just this dark, foreboding figure of evil. And I don't want a backstory to him. That's what makes it scary. He is just this force to be reckoned with. I don't need to know that he killed rats and had a troubled school and his mom was a stripper and blah, blah, blah. It's like, is this the Jerry Springer version of Michael Myers? Or, so in fact, that is my biggest gripe with the whole movie, is the backstory.
Gotcha.
But I know some people wanted it. Me, as being this like hugely insane Halloween fan.
Right.
I didn't want that. I love Michael as being I love guessing about him. I don't want to know solidly.
You liked writing your own story, which is a really good tactic that a lot of people use in horror movies, where they leave it to the mind of the viewer. Like, Alfred Hitchcock was huge on that. And he did it in such a classy way that made those movies just, like, so famous and so memorable. And I get what you're saying, and I like that too, but again, I split them up. Like, this one's about the story and the backstory of the character, and then this one's because he really was, you're right, in the 1970s version, he definitely was he embodied a boogeyman.
Yeah,
That's exactly how John Carpenter wrote it. That's what he was, and that's how they referred to him in the movie, and he did it quite well with the shadows and the figures, and even the mask. So I totally understand what you're saying. And again, if we're separating them, we have our classic, which is the Holy Grail, pretty much. But then we also have this other aspect movie that's just
and I guess the way I come off though is I'm very biased as well.
Well, of course,
because I'm like hugely loyal to the original.
Right.
So,
well, you wouldn't
the fact of a remake came about, my mind was like, no, what are you doing?
I think so many horror kids were, and that kind of is what makes you a horror movie. Like, so many horror kids out there and horror junkies that I've met personally are like that. We have there's a certain line of like purity, and you like can't cross it. Otherwise, we're just gonna be fucking enraged about it. So
Right.
I totally get it, man. Because I felt the same way about Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, you motherfuckers, don't you dare touch Freddy. Don't you dare. But they did it. And you know what? It had its moments. And again, it was another movie that went on the backstory. And so for that aspect, I liked it because, again, it played on that whole he's a serial killer, sociopath, child molester, made me uncomfortable. But they played on that. And that's true. That's what he is. So in that aspect, it was nice to get to know the backstory a little bit more, especially when the Freddy franchise did not go over that as well as they should have, in my opinion. They kind of lazily did it. It's because they had so many different producers and directors and writers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, every movie had a new cast.
You got
and
Wes
stuff.
Craven was involved in...
He was involved in 3 of them.
First, the second, and not the second?
He was involved in the first, the third, and
then
New Nightmare.
And the New Nightmare to me is... I don't want to get off topic, but... classic.
It is classic, but it stands in a category of its own because it's really more or less a spin-off and not a remake and not a sequel. It's more or less a spin-off.
So true.
So, and it's fabulous. It's a great movie. Okay, so question number 4 then. What's the absolute worst movie that claimed to be a horror movie? Because I don't even want to say it was a horror movie because they slapped that label on so much shit. So what is the absolute worst labeled horror movie that you have ever seen to date?
To date, man, this is a tough one.
Good, because you gave me some tough questions, and I want to hit you back with some.
You know, worst horror movie to date was one that I recently went to see, and a lot of people are going to argue with me over this, but Crimson Peak. I hated that movie because, and a lot of people were... It wasn't a horror movie. It was sold as a horror movie. I mean, what's his name?
Guillermo del Toro?
I cannot pronounce his name. We did a review of his film on our YouTube page, and I slaughtered it then, and I'll slaughter it now, so I'm glad
all right. I'll
you
forgive
can
you.
say it. But, you know, he made this film, and when I watched it, I'm like, okay, it was okay as a gothic love story, romance type thing. But that's not how they sold the movie. And that's where I get really mad in today's society because you got these people that make trailers for movies and that's their jobs. And they can make it seem like any movie, you know.
Right.
And this was sold as a horror movie to me. So I went in with like high expectations of horror. And I was like, man, this is going to be, you know, it's going to be scary, creepy. Yeah. And then I'm like, man, what's this love story? Am I watching The Notebook with like goth style added in?
Right. I was disappointed in that movie too, for several reasons. I want to go in it, but I don't because I kind of want to I want to get to know you, and I feel like I've talked way too much. So I'm going to skip over my opinion of Crimson Peak.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it probably.
And if you want to see my full opinion of that film, just check out Horror Junkies of Utah on YouTube.
Okay, so the last question is if you can embody any horror character, like let's say you found a magic lamp and it had a skull and crossbones on it, obviously, and you rubbed it and a black genie came out, and I mean black as in the color, I'm not trying to be like racist or anything for people out there. You know, like a black mist come out and it's the horror genie. And he's like, you can live the life of your favorite horror character. Who would you, like, who, out of all the movies you've seen, like, and you have to take into consideration their powers. So I don't want you to say Michael Myers because you love him. I want you to really think about the powers and the way this person killed or, you know, whatever their calling card may have been. Who would you pick to live for one day? Like, if you could be that person and live out a movie.
So this is like a very independently made movie. Hobo with a Shotgun.
Great movie.
It doesn't sound like a horror movie title, and in essence, it's kind of not a horror movie, but it is, because it's got two characters known as the Plague in it, and they're terrifying. But I would love to live one day as either one of them.
Really?
They're driving around on motorcycles. They're just no fucks to give. I don't know. Their characters were just awesome. They had their powers of super strength, and I mean they were just badasses. Even now I look up to those two characters. Like I want to aspire to be you one day.
Of all the horror movies that I know you've seen, I'm shocked that you picked that one because it's well known and it's not well known. I think it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Like if you ask somebody in the horror community, they should know what Hobo with the Shotgun is.
But if you ask a layman person, they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah, like who?
You're like Rutger
what?
Hauer and
like
what?
What is this movie about?
Uh-huh.
But it was a great movie and it was extremely gory, which is not expected. In fact, I have a hard time watching the end of that movie. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I have a hard time watching the end of that movie solely for the gore factor.
Just the beginning of the movie. Even then, I mean, I love how it's shot in that very old school way with old colors. I think it's colored in like Technicolor and everything. But I had never seen it before. I think it was a direct DVD release, and I put it in. And I was like, okay, well, the Hobo with a Shotgun, and I had seen it in so many horror magazines.
Right.
I was like, how's this a horror movie? And then, lo and behold, the first half isn't. The last half is.
That's true because they do a lot of character establishment, which I think is great. I think a lot of horror movies forget about that. And let's be real, if you want a good movie or you want a good story, you need to talk about your characters. So,
but I want to add something here. So my choice of characters would be either one of the Plague for my first, but my second choice would be Charles Lee Ray, embodied in Chucky.
But are you talking as Chucky or as Charles Lee Ray?
As Chucky.
As Chucky,
because I would have so much fucking fun hiding under desks and stuff and just scaring the shit out of people who think I'm a doll. So,
because nobody expects the doll.
No one does.
No one does. Well, now they are.
Well, now
you just
because
blew your cover.
Well, and it's
fuck, man?
Oh,
just
shut up.
So those are my questions for you.
Okay.
And this is what we do, folks. We talk about horror. We talk about the macabre. We talk about the occult. We talk about the dark side of life.
Definitely. Should we go to a music break?
Yes. So just to let y'all know, if you're tuning in for the first time, all this music is local to the United States. Today we have so many bands that are from Utah.
Let's open up with my good buddy's band, Dustin Blue. Should be Berlin Breaks.
Okay. So we will switch to that, and then we'll come back for you guys.
We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Hey, yeah, been waiting for a sign of the times to clear out the lights. Oh, hey, yeah, been waiting for a light in the dark to tear me apart. Oh, I know that I feel something, I'm sure it's just outside of a reach. But still I believe. Now come set me free, yeah. Take me away from the empty spaces. Take me away from the empty spaces. Lifetime away or after the grave. Oh, hey, hey, yeah. When everything is faded to gray, will memories remain? Oh, I know that I feel something, I'm sure it's just outside of a reach. Still I believe. Oh, come set me free. Take me away from the empty spaces. Take me away from the empty spaces. Show me a heart that burns with desire, designed to inspire. Take me away from the spaces, the empty faces. Take me away from the empty spaces. Take me away from the empty spaces. Show me a heart that burns with desire, designed to inspire. Take me away from the empty spaces, the empty spaces.
Okay, so we are back. So for those of us who were listening to those awesome songs, we had Empty Spaces by Berlin Breaks for you and Scream of the Banshee by my friends Arsenic Addiction. So had to show them some love, so hopefully they're listening.
Definitely. So, we are back and we are talking more horror and creepy shit, of course.
Woo! Spook life! Yay!
And we have a guest with us, my good friend, brother, cousin, whatever I want to call him at the time, Eddie Rask. He is the founder of Horror Junkies of Utah. And together, me and him have made it quite successful so far. And he is here with us to talk about upcoming horror for the year of 2016. Eddie, go ahead and say hi and introduce yourself real quick.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Eddie.
Hi, Eddie. Welcome to our show.
It's great to be here.
Awesome. But before we go into this horror of 2016, I want to answer a question by our boss, the founder of AMFR, John.
Hi, John.
John is listening right now, and he asked us, what do you think of the Hostel movies? Mary informed me before the break that...
So, I don't watch a lot of torture porn. I've only seen a handful of them. The reason being is I'm a really empathetic person. So, I have a hard time watching those because I'm always like, ah! Like, when someone gets cut or, like, their bone's broken, I'm like, ah! Like, I can't. And there's a lot of needles in those movies, and I can't. Like, Freddy can slash a bitch up all he wants, but the moment somebody's injecting a syringe, I gotta look away. Like, no.
Sweet. Hey, Eddie, what do you think of the Hostel films?
Well, in
the torture porn
I'm known as the torture porn king. The more gore, the more graphic, the more disturbed we can get, the more I love it.
Right?
So.
That's why you're here to replace me, because apparently I am useless in this conversation. I'm gonna leave it to the gentleman to be like, yeah, blood, guts, woo!
So for me, the Hostel series is an awesome series in the torture porn industry. The third one was very horrible. Did not like it. Plus, it didn't have Eli Roth doing it. So.
Third one's the Vegas one, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
So the first two are just amazing. I love the special effects. I love where they went with the films. And how they picked up right off where the first one left off in the second one.
I love how in the first film you got two distinctive characters, and the one, the pretty boy, that I thought was going to be our survivor till the end, and he's killed like mid-film.
Yeah, and that's why.
And the douchebag boy is the one that goes throughout the whole film and makes it. And I was like, whoa, they just like broke a rule here.
Yep,
like
they did.
And I mean, Eli Roth, man. I mean, he's classic for breaking rules and doing stuff by his own standards. But yeah, I'd have to agree. I didn't enjoy the third Hostel, but the first two are pretty classic films.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when it first came out on DVD, and I think I was under 18 at the time, or 17, whatever it is.
You rebel, you. How dare you watch such a film at such a
rebel.
young age?
You know what? I had to go into Walmart 3 goddamn times to buy the film because they kept carding me and they wouldn't sell it. And finally I found the cashier that would sell it to me without carding me.
And you know what? That cashier probably lost his job, you bastard.
Yeah, because of me.
I'm totally kidding.
So let's go to our upcoming horror for 2016. Thanks for the question, John.
So what we have for you is we've looked over a list on the interwebs of what's coming out this year. And we've got each of us, well, Eddie's going to comment. I don't know if we got him. Sorry if you didn't get the memo, bro.
Yeah,
but
I didn't get the email.
Sorry about that, man. Yeah, we kind of shot you in the foot with that one. Anyway, so we're going to go over like our top picks for 2016, like what we're personally excited to see, and then our top flops, like what we think is going to just bomb.
So let's do this. Let's go in like a circle order here.
So starting with me.
Starting with excited for, and then we'll switch to flops.
Okay, but do you want to go this way?
Yep, you're going to start us off.
All right. So my tops for 2000, and we're doing one each, right?
Yep.
Okay. My top. So there's this, and I unfortunately haven't actually seen the actual previews for some of these. I just kind of read the descriptions. But from what I read, I'm excited to see The Witch. And I'm probably going to get flack for that. But me personally, I love a good story. I love a story that combines American history with a good ghost or paranormal story. I have a weak spot for it. So I'm excited about The Witch because from what I read, it talks about the witch era in the United States. Like, I think it's supposed to be set in like the 1600s, and apparently there's this forest where that's where the witches like cavort and all that jazz. So I'm excited about that just because it's going to tie, I'm sure it's going to tie in inaccurately, of course, some of that history from that. But I do love a good, like, I don't want to say paranormal, but like, for lack of a better word, mystic movie, like magic, or evil magic, or paranormal.
I'm looking at it right
like
now, and it says on IMDb, a family in the 1630s New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession. Directed by Robert Eggers.
So I'm excited for that, and for those reasons. But it's probably going to be, I mean, if I'm going to be honest and like a true horror critic, it probably is going to be crap. But as long as it's got a good story, in my opinion, that redeems it enough for me. So I'm going to wait and see, but I'm going to pick that one.
Judging by what I'm looking at right now, it almost looks like it's going to be one of those films that's old school, shot well, big production, but I don't know about the story type thing. I'm
still gonna pick it, and like I said, I'm probably gonna get flack for it, and I'm probably gonna come back on after I see it and be like, so guys, that's totally wrong. Don't waste your $8.
See, for me, when I watched the movie trailer on this movie, it reminded me too much of M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. Like, it has that vibe.
Well, it's The Witch.
I never saw that because
we don't
really
watch M. Night Shyamalan.
See, I don't know what that man's doing.
He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
So again, like, I understand. Like, I'm just letting y'all know why I picked it. And when I walk in there and I come back, like, I will happily, like, retract.
I have a feeling you're going to be very judgmental on it because it's dealing with witchcraft and everything. You're going to be like, this is so
But if it doesn't... That's true. I'm going to be like, so they did this one spell and oh my god, they totally used the wrong herbs. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? No.
Oh, man. Well, okay, we got The Witch. Its release date is February 19th, 2016.
See, look at that. My co-host has that stuff all up there because I'm a slacker and don't. Thanks, Marcus.
Okay, so here's one for you. I'm going to go with The Boy that comes out next week. I'm excited for this film, first off, because I am very intrigued by dolls. From Annabelle to Chucky to the classic 80 movies, Dolls, and The Puppet Master, all those. I've always enjoyed those movies, so I'm excited for this one. And it has that paranormal aspect and everything. I just hope they don't go overboard with CGI effects. Like, I've seen the one scene where the hand grabs her out of the picture frame.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, please don't do that the whole movie. Just make it about the doll, please.
So I think it's interesting that you say that because when I saw the preview, it seemed more about the subtleties of like the possession of the doll, which I really like. And that really, if you're going to do a movie about dolls, that's really the way you're going to do it, is by those subtleties.
Well, and I mean, that's one reason I liked Annabelle and the story of Annabelle presented in The Conjuring and Annabelle the film was the doll didn't get up and walk around.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like Charles Lee Ray possessing
where you don't hear the pitter-patter of little shoes. Like.
No, nothing like that. It feels more real and like you just said, it's the doll's possessed. It's a conduit.
Right.
And that's what I'm excited for. I just don't want to see a lot of big, gnarly hands coming out grabbing you and like blah, blah, blah.
Visionary ghosts and whatnot.
Exactly.
So two things, and I mentioned this before. I'm surprised that you picked The Boy because I'm excited to see it, but knowing you and your it wasn't horror enough and like, it was marketed in the wrong. No, man, because you did this both about Crimson Peak, and I agree with you for Crimson Peak.
Oh, and now she's gonna. I know what she's gonna pull out of her ass right here. What is it? Yeah, Krampus. Fuck Krampus. That movie sucked.
You know what? Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Okay,
like,
well.
Deities of holidays, like, they don't need to explain themselves to you.
Oh, man.
Marcus.
Oh, God. You're just
this
a
complete
fanboy.
fangirl.
Fangirl. There we go.
Anyhow,
She is so critical
well,
with this stuff.
this will be another show. I'm sure it will be, because I've been taking so much shit from these two fellas about my love for Michael Dougherty and Trick or Treat and Krampus.
She's just
and
fangirl,
y'all can just fuck off, because this is great.
She's like so critical. It's during Halloween. You took your costume off.
There are rules to Halloween, and I told you, motherfucker.
I didn't take
I
my
told you
costume
that
off.
Sam would get you. So my next thing that I want to throw out there, and this couldn't be better timing.
For the boy?
Just in
Or
general.
just in general, she's going
Is
to throw
that
something
you're
out
the
here.
only man that I know that openly admits to loving dolls. I think it's awesome, actually.
Well, okay, there's a backstory to this.
Okay.
And Eddie's going to be able to back this up. So, on the weekends, when I was in elementary school, it wasn't even the weekends, because I was in one of those year-round schools, A track, B track, C track, D track type things. So there was like weeks that I was off, and my parents were at home because they're working, of course. So they would send me to my grandparents' house. Now, there's a room in our grandparents' house where our grandmother stored, collected, whatever, not thousands, that's an exaggeration, but hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of vintage 1800s dolls.
I love those dolls.
They're
She collected
amazing.
everything, porcelain.
I would have been best
Raglan,
friends
and
with
Oh,
your
man.
grandmother, and I would have had doll tea parties with her every day.
That room is still probably there. You'd open the room. I'm not kidding. There was a bed, an old style, what do they call that? Steel frame. You know what I'm
like
talking
a curio cabinet? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff made out of steel, so you're gonna have to be a little bit
It was
more
it was a
specific.
bed frame that was like carved, and it was weird.
Like a headboard?
Yeah.
Like an elaborate headboard or
Exactly.
an edged headboard? Okay.
And she had it all made up nice, and on the bed was full of dolls. She had
Wow.
cabinets full of dolls. There was dolls everywhere. You entered that room, and you had 5 million eyeballs staring at you.
Oh, yeah.
And I feared that room, but it also got me very intrigued with dolls in the horror culture, because they're just creepy. And I love them. And, hey, I'm not afraid to admit it. Marcus likes dolls.
So please repeat that, viewers, that Marcus loves dolls.
There
Just
we
kidding.
go.
It's really awesome. I really like stories about possessed objects, so I'm with you on that. But then again, I'm also a female, so it's not quite as frowned upon.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eddie, what are you excited to see this year?
2016 for me, I'm looking forward to 31 by Rob Zombie. That movie has me so intrigued to want to see it. The story, the basis that he's going with it, it's going to be a very awesome movie. I've always liked Rob Zombie's movies. I've always found my happy medium, even with the ones I don't really like Lords of Salem, but still enjoyed it.
Okay, I got to say something.
Wait, before you do, because we're not going to always talk to Eddie every Saturday, and we're going to talk to you. Not that I want you to forget, but I want to know your take then, because Marcus and I kind of went off on a tangent about the Rob Zombie Halloween. So what's your take on those movies?
On the Halloween movies, I'm a diehard love for the original. I enjoyed his remakes that he did with Halloween and Halloween 2. I mean, I thought they were good movies. I liked where he went with them. I mean, it was more... he could have went and just did a scene-for-scene movie, but he put his own personal touch on the movie, so I give him respect for not just doing a typical scene-for-scene movie.
I love it. But he should have called it like October 31st or something, not
True.
Halloween.
So you're good. But
Well,
then,
he was saving 31 for his new movie.
But then he would have. But then everybody would be pissed off because
He
would've
changed the title.
Well, not
Yeah.
only that, but he ripped off a character that was already established.
Well,
so
then let's
you're
put
kinda
it
kinda
out
putting
there.
him in a
Let's
corner.
put it out there. Horror fans are the hardest to please.
Oh, yeah.
We have gripes about everything.
Definitely, we do.
I don't know if we're of all subcultures and some genres, we're the hardest to please. I think it's just personal preference. I think some people, and this will go back to the discussion with Krampus. I personally believe you're too hard to please.
See,
when
I
it comes
think
to
we're
horror movies.
I think we're all too damn picky.
We are. We're all just very strong-minded, and we're like, no, this
We
movie's
are.
trash because of this reason, and no, this movie's fabulous because unicorns and shit.
Well, it's like people give me shit about liking torture porn, and they're like, I hate that shit.
Right? No, I understand the whole gore and horror aspect, and there is that. Like, I totally get the bloodier the better. It's just really hearing it and seeing it frame by frame, somebody's neck getting snapped or somebody's wrist or fucking whatever.
Yeah.
It just, like, I'm a very empathetic person, so for me, I can, like, feel that pain. Like,
I think Eddie
don't
needs
know.
to go to a psychiatrist after watching some of
I
those
think you
movies.
just like to place judgment on everybody.
No way, man. He showed me this movie that's like way underground torture porn, American Guinea Pig. Oh my
yeah.
God. You watch that
The
film?
boutique of blood and guts.
But that's the other thing about torture porn, and another reason why I hesitate is because there's some serious fucked up shit there.
There is.
Like, not.
That's why I said he needs to go to a psychiatrist.
But I'm not just talking about, like, fucked up because, like, you know, Reagan from The Exorcist head backwards walking like a spider shit. I'm talking about, like, incest and, like, you know, body mutilation and shit like that. It's just, sometimes it's too much to handle.
And so why do you not think he should go to a psychiatrist?
Because to me, like, that's the same. Like, I have several friends who love serial killers, and in the sense that
And they need to go to psychiatrists
no,
too.
but that they love, like, researching it and finding out why. Like, to me, it seems almost comparable. But I just think you are just too.
I'm critical.
You're just too. You're wound too tight, bro. Like,
Jesus.
chill. The
I'm
fuck down.
wound too tight, and this guy likes to watch movies that are like an hour and a half of just killing people.
You know what I think it's missing for you is the stabbing motion and sound. I think maybe that's why you don't like that.
All right, but on so he mentioned that he wants to see 31.
31. I'm sorry, Eddie. Keep going.
Yeah, so the basis on it is, so 5 carnival workers, they get kidnapped and everything, and they get taken to this, like, warehouse area where they have to play a violent game for 12 hours and try to survive from a gang of killer clowns, evil clowns. Except they're not like your killer clowns out of space. It's actual people playing clowns.
That's terrifying.
I mean,
Like,
the movie
sincerely
looks awesome.
terrifying.
I just hope Rob Zombie can elevate himself from Lords of Salem.
He will. I mean, this movie totally will. This movie isn't definitely. I mean, Lords of Salem.
What do you have to say, Mary?
is like
You're staring at
swallow.
me.
There you go again, busting people's balls. Like,
But-
even though he made great other movies, he did this one movie that fucking sucked, and now he's just garbage.
Just listen to the soundtrack and you'll want to blow your brains out.
That may be, but you know what? That is a soundtrack, not the movie.
Oh no, the movie is solely based around this soundtrack. It's in every damn scene.
You may have something there. Still,
No.
though,
It is. It is
Yeah.
because the movie's premise goes off that sound, right?
Yeah, the Salem Witch.
Well, there's like a record or something
Oh,
that they're
okay.
listening
records
to that
See,
makes them all
sound-
fucked up.
I-
It's a fucked up movie.
So I haven't seen too many Rob Zombies. That's one that I haven't seen.
Okay.
So that's why I wasn't aware of that. Even still, though, man, like, he better redeem. You just made it sound like there was
The
no
amount
way.
of times you bust my balls over text messages, kiss my ass, Mary.
I've had longer to do it than you.
But yeah, that movie is the one I'm looking forward to. It comes out January 23rd. So it finally took them 3 times to get an R rating on this movie.
Really?
And one of our good friends on the Whatever Lounge, Daniel, is
Hi,
going
Dad.
to a private screening of it. And he's
Thank
gonna-
you, Daniel. Take me with
Right?
you.
We're going to have him in as a guest spot, and he's going to talk about that movie.
I'm
awesome.
surprised that they didn't try to release it on the 31st. Because
True.
did either of you see the remake of The Omen with Julia Stiles?
Yes.
So do you remember they released that on 6/6/06?
Yep.
Yeah, I was there that day. It was a momentous occasion. But anyway,
All right.
I figure they should do that. They should release it on the 31st. Okay,
Yeah.
so are we back to
Yep,
me?
back to you.
Okay. So on top 3, the other one I'm really excited for is, and I hope this comes to fruition because this has been years that I've heard it was coming out, is Ghostbusters. So I from what I know of this movie, because there's really not a description online, and I don't think there's a solid release date yet, but from what I've heard, is that Dan Aykroyd's character, and the name escapes me, it's actually like this was the last I heard about it, was that it's actually his niece that is going to revive the Ghostbusters business, and it's
Okay.
her friends, and so he comes in as kind of like a mentor to them to show them how to catch ghosts. And of course he'd had to, because apparently of course, Egon passed away a couple summers ago, which was really sad.
Yeah,
the guy who played Egon. And then I just heard that somebody else passed away recently too from the franchise, and I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
It was the mayor. That's who it was.
Yeah.
It was the mayor of New York City. So I'm really excited about that because I love Ghostbusters. I've loved that movie since I was a kid. I remember watching it when I grew up. Bill Murray is a genius. Dan Aykroyd is a genius. Rick Moranis, I have a soft spot in my heart for that man, even though he's not going to be in it probably. But just a great movie, great franchise. And if they can bring back the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and if they can please make a Stay Puft Marshmallow Girl, that would make my fucking life, because like Marshmallow Man's my homeboy because he and I share the same physique and I love him to death. And if they made a female, I would just be like, yes, like pimping that shit out.
Well, you know what? I mean, I think you're pretty good on the film. It looks like it's in post-production, scheduled for a July 15th release this year. Cast and everything's already been done. There's cameos by Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Aaron Hudson,
and that's the
Sigourney Weaver, and Ozzy Osbourne.
Woo! So Sigourney jumped on right away, as she should, because I love that woman. And I knew, like, when I heard that it was going to come out, I was like, there's no way that Sigourney Weaver's going to say no. Like, and I was like, I think Bill Murray's going to say yes, but because he's kind of gone more for lack of a better word, professional end of, like, Hollywood. Like, he does a lot of serious movies now. So he was really hesitant to come back to, like, his comedic type of movies or, silly movies. And so there was hesitation with him, but I'm so glad to hear that. Made my day that he's coming back, because Venkman, man, like, when everyone thinks about, right? Murray. Like, whenever you think about Ghostbusters, you think about Bill Murray.
Of course.
And the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
You know what my favorite cameo of Bill Murray is? It's in Zombieland.
Yes!
Yes!
That cameo was so perfect. It was so
and
perfect.
He plays himself. He's playing himself, Bill Murray, but then he even goes farther and plays the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's great.
That totally.
Well, I don't think there's any argument over on this side, because Ghostbusters is just a round.
Ghostbusters is awesome.
And the thing that's great is that they're not redoing it. They're trying to, like, do that whole story arch where they just continue the franchise.
And they should. I mean,
right, and they should. What's interesting, though, so I want to know, and if you're listening, please post on our Facebook page if you have ever heard of this. But there's a cartoon series that's called Ghostbusters, and it's not the real Ghostbusters that was from the Ghostbusters franchise, but it's a dinky, I don't even remember the production company, but it's an 80s cartoon, and it's based on an old show, like back in the, I think, 50s.
But does it follow like the Ghostbusters?
No, it's a totally different. So what it is it's two Ghostbusters and a gorilla, like a smart gorilla. and just stay with me now. Like, I know everyone's like, a fucking gorilla? Yeah. Like, come on now. Is this King Kong? No, like, just stay with me. So it's these two guys, right? One of them's, of course, handsome and smart, and the other one's the comic relief, so he's dumb and not as handsome. And then they have this gorilla, and they traveled through time. Like, they have a time portal almost, and they travel to time and to fight ghosts of various, like, eras. And actually, when Ghostbusters was being written by Dan Aykroyd, that was the original premise, was that they were going to travel through, like, galaxies and times and things like that to try to battle these ghosts. And because of the production values in the 80s, they weren't able to do it. And it makes me wonder if that's where the original Ghostbusters, like, if they got it from that idea and then went in a totally different direction.
Okay, so Eddie just brought this Ghostbusters trailer up on his damn phone for this cartoon, and I am literally seeing Scooby-Doo.
Yes, Scooby-Doo
Scooby.
No, it's like a Scooby-Doo. It's Scooby-Doo style, but it's not.
But Scooby isn't Scooby. He's a fucking gorilla, like you just said.
No. From seeing, like, if you guys are YouTubing it right now, it totally is going to look like it. But I promise you, if you just sit and watch an episode, that's the beginning. That's Those are credits. Really, man? You're fucking basing it off credits. Just sit down and watch it. Like, it's actually pretty. It has its moments. Like, it's the whole nostalgia and like corny 80s stuff. I think it's amazing. I don't care what you guys say. Fuck off.
Cool. So Ghostbusters. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. My next film I'm excited for in 2016 would be Jeepers Creepers 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Creeper
awesome
is
Yes.
back.
Do they have an actual solid date now? Because
They don't. It keeps going around. They're like, from what I've
It's been
been
going
reading,
around
it's
for
they're
2
like,
years,
it's
man.
coming out this year. It's coming out.
Yeah, it better.
And I don't know if it's going to. I probably shouldn't even put this on the list because their stuff's still all over the place. But they got a solid storyline now. Their release date is 2017. No solid date yet. Again, but just the premise of bringing the Creeper back to me is just like, yes, please do it.
The Creeper was definitely one of those horror movie villains that was awesome and totally original and I liked his backstory. I liked that he was like a demon from like hell or
I like his
whatever it is.
truck.
His truck is pretty
That
badass.
truck is fucking
Scary
crazy shit. That's
every time I'm like driving out on some lonesome highway, I see that damn truck coming up my rearview mirror. I'm like, shit. And I'm not going down no pipes either. But that would be my next one. Is Jeepers Creepers 3.
I would hope that having not seen that movie, you wouldn't just go down random pipes because that sounds like
Well, I probably
you're either gonna bathe in a pool of shit or you're gonna like get stuck somewhere
or
and
cut
die.
myself and get tetanus.
Like get tetanus or who knows what else.
Do you have another one, Eddie?
For me, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this Leatherface movie.
Okay, so that totally cancels one of mine out because that was on my third one, Leatherface.
You know, I
This
was
is going to be an
being the
interesting
Leatherface
concept,
huge
and it's
fan.
scheduled for a 2016 release as
Yeah.
well. But they have not even begun production, to my knowledge, yet. So I'm like, you guys better get your asses
They
in
might
gear.
be doing some underground production where they ain't just telling anybody anything.
But it's interesting that with this one, they're going back. They're taking it back, and they're going to explain where he came from.
Yeah.
I mean, they sort of did that with the last one. Not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, I'm going to just say that one didn't even exist. 3D.
Texas Chainsaw
I
Massacre
can't
at the beginning.
stand it.
So,
But, I mean, it's going to be an interesting concept.
yeah, it's going to be interesting where they go with it, and especially with spending a lot of time in his child life.
I want to know, though, because I'm like the Halloween guru. This guy is like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Right.
guru. What do you want out of this movie?
What I want out of this movie is a good, solid explanation for why he puts on the mask. I mean, not just your typical, oh, he has birth defects or something like that.
Yeah.
It needs to be a good reason why he does put the mask on, you know?
True.
So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with this because it has me intrigued to see what's going to happen.
I think it's funny that you're interested on the backstory of Leatherface when you were saying like you hated the backstory about Mike Myers. What's the difference between the two? Like why is it?
I'm
one-
not interested in the story on Leatherface, the backstory.
Oh, okay.
Me personally, like, I could give a shit less. He is.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying he is. Me, whatever.
Well, when you mentioned it, I guess it gave you the impression that you weren't
I
interested.
guess
See, so-
I guess I could see myself being a little bit more interested on the backstory of Leatherface because to me Michael is like this mythical figure
Yeah,
at
he's
times.
mysterious.
And
But-
Leatherface is just downright human.
Yeah.
I get that, but at the same time, like, okay, so if, and you're gonna have to forgive me, but I can't remember the doctor's name, the psychiatrist's name in Halloween. It escapes me right now. You know what?
Holy, yeah.
Don't.
Oh, that's like blasphemous.
Okay, so
Just tell me his name, bro. I don't need to know. Like, I've seen the movie a million
You've
times.
already opened
Donald
Pandora's box.
Pleasance played Dr. Loomis in
Yeah,
Halloween.
okay, Loomis, that's what it is. Okay, I knew it was an L name. You have.
Mary,
Those
I
are-
just want to
hey,
reach over this table.
You know what, though? It's our first show, and I'm still a little nervous, so you can eat a dick. So if he hadn't mentioned that in the movie, that he was evil for pretty much for the sake of evil. I mean, those aren't his exact words, obviously,
Yeah.
but if that hadn't been put in the movie, would you still feel that way about Michael? Because I almost feel like if that minute detail
that
was taken
small
out,
little
like
speech
you would
he
have a
gives to the
totally,
sheriff.
you would have a totally different view of the backstory.
It probably
for Michael
would
Myers.
because, I mean, Dr. Loomis is like the know-all of Michael,
right?
And that speech he gives, behind those eyes were pure,
right?
But yeah, you probably would have a little different opinion on Michael. He might be more human because Dr. Loomis sets him aside as this like mythical figure, almost like unstoppable evil from another realm.
Right.
So yeah, probably.
I'm just gonna let you think on that.
I will.
I'm sure I'll get a late night text about that.
So we're back to you. We
'Kay.
covered Jeepers Creepers.
So
and
my
Leatherface.
other top. So this is one I kind of randomly picked out, but it seemed good. The Other Side of the Door. So the description is, a mother lost her son and discovers a ritual that lets her say goodbye to her dead child, but mistakenly opens the veil between the dead and this world. Now she has to risk all to save her family from the spirit that was her dead son. I'm excited for this movie because one of my side hobbies that I unfortunately haven't been able to do very often is I ghost hunt, and throughout my youth, I've researched paranormal activity in terms of like spirits and stuff like that. I have a little bit of a knowledge about stuff like this, and it's the type of stuff that I like. It's what I'm really interested in, so it kind of parallels stuff that I personally believe and that I just think is interesting, and I love a good ghost story. That's probably like the root of all my horror love is I'm a sucker for a good ghost story.
I love this that I'm reading about the film. Before you even mentioned this film, I had no idea about it, but now you did. I looked it up, and she's discovering this door between two worlds. I've
Right.
always loved that concept that
Right.
there's another world outside of ours, and somehow there's a portal to crisscross.
Right, and that they're parallel, kind of like Silent Hill.
Uh-huh.
Like if you played the games or you've seen
Oh,
the
yeah.
Silent Hill movie, how like they're living in Silent Hill and it can't be viewed by our world, but they're in the same world, just two different dimensions almost. And I love that too because my personal belief, hate it or love it, is that's if there is a spirit world, I'm going to say it that way. If there is a spirit world, that's what I personally, as an individual, believe how it operates, is that it's parallel to ours.
Awesome. Well, The Other Side of the Door. Do we have a release date on this one? I don't have a solid one. I just got a 2016.
I don't know if there's one on this website that I found it from. It says Friday, March 11th.
Yep, that's what I got. So Friday, March 11th.
So right
check
before
out.
St. Patty's Day, almost a week before.
Drink a bunch of green beer and go see this movie.
Or just beer in general. It doesn't have to be green.
All right, so we have covered our movies we are excited about. Let's go to our flops.
Wait, did you guys get 3 then?
Yep.
Okay.
Because he pretty much took mine
Ah, okay.
with his leather face.
I got in the motion of the circle and...
Yeah, it kind of went back and forth between us for a second, and then it went back to you. So, flop movies.
I want you to start this time because I just talked.
Okay, so I got 3 flops. Actually, yeah, I got 2 flop movies and 1 other flop that I think is coming. My first flop movie is Amityville: The Awakening.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
Anything that says Amityville,
That's
aside
been so
from
played out.
The original.
aside from the original, and I'm going to go with the remake, but that's
Yes.
mainly because Ryan Reynolds is a babe. So
But the movie was actually pretty well done.
it
the
was pretty
remake.
decent. It really was. So
But anything with Amityville in it after the first or the remake is just garbage. And I looked this one up and I'm just like, oh God, here we go again. A movie that's playing on a title to make some quick cash, in my opinion.
right, it's the let's
yeah.
overdo the franchise to make a bunch of movies because
And-
apparently they must think that people who love horror are stupid, and we're not. Clearly we're not, because we've had very intelligent conversation for the last hour and a half or whatever. So I agree with you. I would
I think we
hesitate
can
to
all
see it.
agree on that one. Eddie, do you got a flop movie?
For me, it's not come out till about 2017, but the new Resident Evil movie.
Ah.
That's
the
another
the final
overdone.
chapter.
Yeah,
Franchise.
it's like you totally just killed that whole franchise.
You know,
completely
Resident
with
Evil
the
1
last
was
one.
great. Resident Evil 2 was awesome because
Yeah,
they brought in
the first two
so
are
much
awesome.
redone scenes from the video game. And then Resident Evil 3 is like, she's got superpowers?
Yeah, it just goes downhill, and then 4, they make you. Why did you make the first 3?
Yeah. You know, it's that franchise is so lost in money bags to me that it's like,
They just
writing? Who needs writing when we can just make it like a Matrix movie with zombies?
And you know what? The sad thing is that happens to a lot of movies that have their origin in video games. It's like, so we're griping a lot about franchises and how they keep going or how they're getting remade or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's stop and talk about video game, like horror movies that come from video games. Because in my personal experience, I don't think I've seen one that I'm like, yeah, it's a good movie, you should see it. It's always like, it's all right. So like, do you think that maybe it's hard to like bridge that gap between like a full-fledged movie and
To a
a video
video
game?
game?
Because it just seems like so, and video games are huge. Like everybody loves video games. And there's so many horror video games out there, and there's so much that they could do with them. But it just seems like so many of those movies are just not as good as the games.
And it's vice versa.
Yeah.
Look at all the movies that they try and make games out of.
That's a great
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
I think it's just when you look at that bridge and that gap and then what they're trying to do, when I look at it, eventually when you're making art, I'm making a broad generalization here, but you want to make money from your art.
right.
And I think when they see these, it's like quick cash type thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They already have a fan base. They're going to go see it. We'll just make it. And they'll go see it. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. We'll make our money.
Oh yeah,
That's-
I mean, it happens all the time.
So, I mean, that's my opinion on it. I haven't seen one that has been done either way very well. I am excited, though. The Last of Us, the video game, was almost like watching or playing a damn cinematic experience. And they're planning on making that into a film.
Yeah.
Which, at times, I'm like, why? I experienced a film. I don't need a film.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
this is the one that I'm betting my money they do a good
It's
job
interesting that you say that because, like, and I'm not a big gamer. Like,
Uh-huh.
I am the master button masher when it comes to video games. So unless I'm playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, like, I'm pretty much gonna get 2 feet in the game, literally, with my character and get stuck. So, like, it's funny that you mentioned that you thought it was so good and that they did that concept so well of living a horror movie, because the reviews that I read and people I talked to, they were like, oh, it wasn't as good as it could have been. So, but I get what you're saying. Like, it's...
I want to know who you're talking to because they have way too high of expectations.
That game is like
The Last of Us?
perfection.
I mean, that was
Oh,
like...
you mean, okay, I'm thinking of... Never mind. You're right. I was thinking of Until Dawn. That's the one. That I was
Okay,
thinking
I'm
of.
like...
No,
I
no,
haven't
The Last
played
of Us,
Until
you're
Dawn.
right. That
I'm
one
like,
got
Last of Us was
amazing.
like amazing.
Yeah.
No, that was amazing reviews. And yes, everybody I talked to, yes. My bad. I was confusing the two because the only one that I knew you could live in was Until Dawn.
Until Dawn,
That's
okay.
why I was confused. My bad. Again, see, I'm not a gamer, folks. And if you are a gamer and you know me personally, I'm so sorry I let you down today.
Yeah, Eddie, so you left us off with Resident Evil. Mary?
So my first pick is going to be Viral. Again, I haven't seen the trailer for this, but this is what the description says. Follows teenager Emma Drakeford struggling after a recent family tragedy who begins a video documentary about her life for a school project. It lost me right there because I saw the fucking word documentary. I am so over documentary horror movies. I cannot...
like the found footage.
The found
Yeah.
footage, fucking... Okay,
yeah.
in my opinion, there is one good found footage movie, and that is the Blair Witch Project. The original one that came out way back when, and they did the marketing so brilliantly that they had everybody believing that the Blair Witch was a real entity.
Well, that was back when we were connecting online with AOL.
Exactly. But still, it worked. It worked. And
did.
the first Paranormal Activity was good. Like, there were a couple moments where I was like, this is bullshit. But it was good enough for me to be like, yeah, that's not a horrible movie. But then after that, the more found documentary things that have come out, I'm just like...
It's definitely
I'm
fad.
done with this. Like, I don't fuck...
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, but how many people really tote around their camera or whatever, and they get so much paranormal... No, you're lucky if you get a fucking orb, bro. Like, calm down.
You
Now
gotta
we're
work
getting
for that
full
shit.
demon apparitions.
So
I
it lost...
agree.
I'm going to say flop, because
Yeah.
I hate... And call me biased, call me what you want. Like, I just... it's a no for me. No way.
Well, I got one then. It's a paranormal movie. And I don't want it to be a flop. But I think it's going to be a flop.
I already have an idea what he's going to say.
The Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
I'm not against this movie. I don't want this movie
I want it to succeed.
I don't want it to fail. I want to go into it seeing a great movie. But I don't know. It's just I watched the trailer and you know, I was like you've taken an idea and it looks like you've gone a little overboard, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you've seen the trailer. What did you think?
I thought that it's not... I thought personally for me, it was just like... I was looking at it, I was like... Just keep it simple, man. You don't have to go over dramatic with all these crosses.
Yeah,
going upside
that was
down.
the scene that got me is all these
It's
crosses
like,
turning all
it's
over.
like,
I'm
dude,
like...
The Exorcist has been done. Everything's been done, bro. Just do your
Well, what
thing.
scared me with The Conjuring is it went back to the old roots of the late 70s, early 80s
Yeah, of
possession
course.
films, where less was more.
Yeah,
and
of
it
course.
seems like they got a big budget for this one. They're like, more is better.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that's not how it is, and I'm hoping that that's just what the trailer showed.
Yeah.
So,
I think
don't
that
know.
goes back again to the whole franchise thing. Like, you get, and you mentioned it before too, where they already have a fan base, so they're going to make quick money. So I think that's what it goes back to as well. Eddie, what's one of your flops for this year?
For me, it's going to be Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
Oh, God, that's not even a damn horror movie.
It's
But
just,
it's marketed in there.
Yeah, for me, it's...
But I want to kick its ass out the door.
Yeah, for me, it's like... What I hate about what's going on right now with just zombies in general and with zombie movies is horrible. I mean, it's just horrible what they're doing because, I mean, there's so many great zombie movies in the past that do so well, and then we have this garbage that comes out that just ruins it. Like Warm Bodies. It's like your boyfriend, your fucking zombie boyfriend ain't even look like that, okay? He's gonna be flesh falling off his face.
Right?
I've seen a meme for that, I think.
Yeah,
it was
on
posted it.
So because I'm a girl and it's basically a horror chick flick, I did like that movie to a degree. I'm not going to say I bought it. I'm not going to say I saw it again. But I
she's
did
got
like it.
Mary's hiding under her bed. She's like,
I
in the closet.
actually have the zombies poster hung above my bed, and I kiss it before I go to bed every night. No, I really don't, people. But anyway, it actually was trying to rip off Romeo and Juliet, but do a horror part of it. So maybe that's why I like it, is because
Have you ever seen the trauma version? Trauma.
I love
version
me
of that?
some good trauma
Yeah.
movies.
What is that? It's
Yeah.
like the junkie version of it.
I haven't seen that one,
I haven't
so
seen
I
it.
don't.
I watched it and
But if you're a horror
Horror
kid and
movie.
you don't know what trauma is, you need to Google that shit right
Yeah.
now. You are in for a treat.
And what's awesome
Toxie.
about them is you go on their YouTube channel and you can watch hundreds of their movies
right?
for
And
free.
and because it's like this radio station, it was just two guys that started up a
Yep.
business and didn't give two fucks and are like, well, anything goes. You get gems. Beautiful
you do.
gems from that company. But again, I am going to warn people out there, if you don't know what it is, you need to be prepared. You need to get up on some B horror, because that's
Oh, yeah.
pretty much what trauma is.
Trauma's almost like I don't want to say the birth of B horror, but they're the masters of B horror.
Oh, yeah.
They really are, yeah. They've definitely
Lloyd
been,
Kaufman's just a badass, man.
they've definitely been doing it for a long time. So my flop is going to be a Ouija. One of my flops is a Ouija 2.
Oh god.
Oh, jeez.
A
I didn't
Ouija
even-
1 was a flop.
I didn't,
Yeah.
right? I didn't even see the first Ouija movie because I'm like, the title alone just tells me that
Terrible.
I like.
Yeah, I mean...
That's like a sign on a door that's like, don't enter this room. It's full of like ninja cobra SIGs. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some horror movie titles that you're just like, I'll avoid that shit at all costs.
It was bad. I've
That's-
seen it and it was
That's going to be a steaming pile before it comes out of the director's
it
ass.
is.
Like,
That was an hour and a half on the first one. I'll never get back.
right?
Yeah.
Like, don't.
I would rather
I only
have
watched
played
first
by
20 minutes
myself
of
with the
that
Ouija
film.
board in a plain white room. I'd been more entertained.
Right? Like, I will listen to a Halloween soundtrack and play with my own Ouija board before I go pay $8 to watch that.
It was terrible.
But, and it goes, like, there's been, I like what you said, I'll never get that hour and a half back, because I've been there before. I was there with Don't Be Afraid of the Dark and fucking Crimson Peak. Those are the only 2 horror movies and the only 2 movies in my life that I was like, I think I'm done with this, and I think I'm about to walk out. I didn't. I made it until the end, but I was like, I want my fucking 2 hours of my life back, man. Like,
I want a refund. We don't refund money. I don't want money. I want my 2 hours.
I want my life back. Like, that sucked balls.
Well, so my last flop then is Tales from the Crypt, the TV series. And this is another one I want to do well. But it's now transferred from HBO, and it's going to TNT. They are not bringing back the original Crypt Keeper, and that's been confirmed by M. Night Shyamalan, who is the creative mind behind this. And there's reasons for that. They can't bring back the Crypt Keeper because HBO owns the rights. They don't want to give it away.
HBO, stop being bitches, man. We want that puppet. And I want the fucking puppet back. I don't want some motherfucker in a costume.
Yes.
I don't want some CGI. I want that fucking puppet back.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing about this that I just read today, and it's kind of, I don't know, there's so many conflicting articles and stories going on the internet, but from the one I read is Tales from the Crypt is a classic short story. You know, we get an episode. And we always have different directors for the episodes, different stories. This Tales from the Crypt sounds like it's going for American Horror Story status. 13 episodes to complete a season, 1 story. And from what I read, they're going after New Orleans and the voodoo down there.
Oh, jeez.
To me, it's okay, but Tales from the Crypt is short stories, man.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. So, I don't know if you guys have any opinions on it, but I'm not thinking too bright on it.
For me, it's ruining everything. And anything that guy produces is like,
lately.
Here we go again.
So I got wind of the fact that they were going to resurrect the series a long time ago, probably from a magazine, but I was really excited. And what I had heard at that time was that they were going to get the puppet back, and they were going to get the original voice actor or puppeteer for the puppet back as well. And then, stuff started circulating on Facebook about how they were bringing it back, and it was M. Night Shyamalan, and I was like, it's M. Night Shyamalan. Well, if they have the puppet, maybe. And then I heard there was no puppet, and I'm like, yeah, this is not. Please don't ruin something from my childhood. Not again. Like, please. And Tales from the Crypt, I don't know about you guys, but Tales from the Crypt was kind of one of those sacred, like, you don't want to ruin it because it was one of the first things that I latched onto in terms of, like, horror as a child. I remember watching that shit Saturday night on Fox before Mad TV. So this was back in the early 90s, kids. Before I'm talking to our viewers. Before a Mad TV aired, or after Mad TV aired. So I remember every Saturday was, like, my awesome night because I'd watch Mad TV, and then I'd watch Tales from the Crypt, and then I don't know, fucking Addams Family or Munsters came on or whatever. And then I went to bed. It was a great time as a 10-year-old kid. Like, it makes me sad that they're ruining it.
Me too. And, it's, like, it brings back nostalgic memories.
It does. It really does.
And I'm like, M. Night Shyamalan, what? Please, pick someone else. Was that the only available director?
Right? Was that the only director that expressed any
choice.
interest? Because I kind of don't believe that for a fucking second. Maybe he was the only not busy one. That's what I'm going to go with.
That's what I'm thinking. George A. Romero's like, I'm too busy.
I got
John
shit
Carpenter
to do.
can't do it. But we'll see. We'll have to see. It's going to be coming out late this year.
Yeah. So, Eddie, what's your third flop?
Rings. They're coming out with a third Ring film. And it's just like, come on, man. Why do you have to bring that fucking long-haired black shit?
Yo, I don't give a shit, man. I'm scared of Asian horror, man. Little Asian girls and stuff. And I know The Ring is the American version, but you watch Ring U, I think it's called, or whatever.
Yeah,
Ring U and Jawan.
Man, that shit's scary. I don't like that. All their weird contorted body movements. I won't go see it.
I didn't see any of the Ring movies.
Really?
Mainly because that type of horror doesn't really interest me. I'm really picky with when I see a movie preview. Like if it doesn't pique my interest, I generally think the movie's going to be crap.
I don't like the Ring series at all, but the girl's creepy.
and that's what I've heard, but I actually never. It's just not one of those genres that really piqued my interest a lot, so I never got into it. But I've heard conflicting things. I've heard people really like them, people don't really like them. But that is true about the Asian horror culture, is that they do some pretty impressive shit and some pretty scary shit, and you do have to bring it all back down to like their ancient culture that they have and like the stuff that they believe in.
Oh yeah,
which is terrifying shit if you ever research it. So my last choice is The Disappointments. Yes, with an S. Room. Let me say that one more time. The Disappointments. Room. That's the name of the film, and clearly that's why I chose this as a flop, is because your title seems grammatically incorrect, and also.
So explain.
So this is what this description is on IMDb. A mother and her young son release unimaginable horrors from the attic of their rural dream house. How many times has this been done? And
last one's the Babadook.
Right? And then, not only that...
Eddie loves that
But
movie.
you give it a terrible name that's really way too long to fucking say for a horror movie. So, that alone, overdone, probably not going to be interesting.
Is there anyone well-known going to be in this film? Any well-known directors, actors, anything?
So, Kate Beckinsale's in it.
Oh, God, I'm done.
Right? That's the only one I recognize. I'm trying to find the director right now.
So they found one female lead with a good name to produce or to promote the movie, and
right?
Let's go from there.
Yeah. So flop for sure, because it's a tired story that never gets executed properly. There's very few good haunted or possessed house movies, and a lot of those hit their peak.
The best one was that Disney release. Haunted House or whatever.
The Haunted Mansion.
No, not the Haunted Mansion. That's the
I thought you were trying to be like super like satirical.
No, I'm being honest here. I'm like that. What was the name of that Pixar film? Haunted House, Monster House. Whatever. The house is like.
That's not a Disney movie.
What is it?
DreamWorks. Let's Google it.
Well, okay,
that's Pixar.
It's Pixar is Disney.
Monster House? No, Monster House is not.
All right, we're gonna solve this.
Googling this right now.
Google it right now.
Google is God. It knows all. Google.com. And it is Monster House, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
With the creepy next door neighbor who dies at the beginning of the movie.
Heart attack. That's pretty bad for like this.
I was really like, I haven't seen this movie all the way through, but when I did watch it, because like my internet crapped out on me, so I didn't get to finish it. But when I did watch it, I'm like, wow, this is kind of inappropriate for a child.
Mm-hmm.
Production company, I can't find it.
I'm looking for it right now.
I know for a fact it is not Disney and it is not Pixar. I know that for sure. Columbia Pictures, Relativity Media, Image Movers. Sony, it's Sony Animation. Sony Pictures.
Well, that explains everything.
So,
well, should we do a quick music break and then come back with our ending show?
Our end way.
Yeah,
as we'll call
our
it.
end way, our go out.
Yes, so let's do that now.
Okay, we will be back. What are we gonna end this little segment with? Who are we gonna listen to?
Let's do the Salt City Sound of London Dungeon.
Just keep your head up and your feet on the ground and try to come through your next breakthrough. Yeah! For the devil, 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 for the devil inside you. For the devil, for the devil, for the devil inside you. For the devil, for the devil, for the devil inside you.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Cryptic Creepshow, and we're going to end this segment with giving John Carpenter a happy 68th birthday.
And before you do that, I just want to let people know who are tuning in that want to know about the music. We had, of course, the Salt City Sound, who did their cover of London Dungeon, which is amazing, by the way. I was very impressed. And then we also played Dirtbags Don't Die, their song Devil, and both of these bands are locally here in Utah.
Yeah, so definitely support your local musicians, you know.
So
it's better than that stuff that's on the regular radio, right?
It totally is.
99.5 and all that junk.
Yeah.
Come on, listen to us.
Except
not
for,
that.
I do have to give my shout out to X96 because they are local and they're alternative. So
Yeah,
I do
definitely.
still like them.
Definitely. I'm just talking about like our mainstream radio that play like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and like 4 artists, maybe an hour.
Maybe. So happy birthday to Mr. John Carpenter,
happy.
68. Wow. And you know,
And I have not seen an interview with. I don't know how John Carpenter's still alive because I've never seen an interview or a picture where he doesn't have a goddamn cigarette in his
always
hand.
has a cigarette
He's
in
a
his mouth.
big time smoker, and I'm like, holy cow! And he's up to 68, and he's still looking good.
I just hope that he doesn't have the, I guess the age 69 curse that's coming around in 2016. I guess even if there was, he's only 68, but
We still got a year with him.
knock on wood, man.
Everyone knock on wood. No.
And for the record, I was very heartbroken about David Bowie. I absolutely adore that man. And
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
yes, beautiful.
And then we had
beautiful
Lemmy
man.
go out. That sucked.
Yeah. So sad.
Then we lost. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan.
Alan
but
Rickman.
Yeah, there we go.
And even if you weren't a big Harry Potter fan, he was a brilliant actor. He was so brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
A lot
he
of
was.
movies.
Yeah, and he was the perfect. If you read the books, the Harry Potter books, I don't know personally if you have. Something tells me you haven't, but
You're probably on it too.
yeah. But he was literally the most perfect Snape that could ever have been.
I actually think he plays the villain in the first Die Hard movie.
He does.
Yeah.
Kicked out of the fucking.
So great people, but let's go back to the birthday boy, who is John Carpenter.
Okay, so John Carpenter. What out of the many movies that he's made is your favorite? Let's go with Eddie first.
You know, I didn't say Halloween because everybody says Halloween. Besides Halloween.
You know what? Let's do this. None of us can pick Halloween because
Yeah,
that's
of
its
course.
classic. We're gonna put that out there.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
No one picks Halloween. We all gotta pick
but what if
something
we?
else.
But what if we pick something from the franchise?
The Halloween franchise?
Yeah. Or are we just excluding?
Well, because yes, he was involved in 2 and 3 as well.
Right.
I will give you. You can pick 3. You can't pick 2.
What do you mean? Okay.
Let's exclude the Halloween
'Kay,
franchise in its entirety.
In its entirety.
With the 3 films that he made with Halloween, let's just.
Why don't
take
we just do this? Why don't we say out of the 3 Halloween movies he did, what's our favorite? And out of every other John Carpenter movie we do.
Okay, so let's
Because
start.
obviously we're still going to be torn and arguing about
Okay,
this. So
let's all go with our favorite Halloween movie. Mary, you're first.
Season of the Witch, man. And don't get me wrong, because I love Michael Myers, but Season of the Witch was brilliant because it was so refreshing. And his idea behind doing it was amazing, and that's why I gotta give a shout out to that movie. So definitely Season of the Witch for me out of the Halloween franchise.
I would personally say Halloween 2 for me. I love the whole hospital scenes and everything like that.
And what I loved about that is how well he connected the two. Like how it was just smooth transition. Like she gets away and then you see her in the hospital. Brilliant.
Did you know the mask is the same mask from the first one, but it's so fucked up?
Yeah.
It sat under Deborah Hill's bed forever.
Yep.
And that's why it looks so dirty and dingy.
But it fits the character, so
It
it's
does.
alright.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing they didn't connect well. I agree, they connected everything, but then you look at the mask, you're like, what the hell happened? Like,
That's just one of those blooper things. You can get over that.
Then, you guys, Halloween,
because you already said it, so you're just echoing yourself now.
So.
All right, so every other John Carpenter movie out there.
Go.
Me?
Yep,
You're making me go first?
You're going first.
Okay. This is so hard for me.
I already know mine.
Probably... And it has to be the horror movies, doesn't it? I'm going to give a shout out to Big Trouble in Little China because
You know what? Though,
I love
kinda
that
fits-
movie.
That kind of fits the horror
It
genre.
kind of does, but I love that movie. So that is a shout out for sure. I have mad respect for The Thing. I originally saw that when I went to school and I was trying to be
Someone.
one of those I got my life together type of people, and I was
now
in,
I think we all were
right,
like that. Now
community
we ended up
college.
we're a radio show,
right? And that says it all, doesn't it? I'm a radio show host. Just kidding. There are amazing radio show hosts out there. I don't want to ding the whole profession.
Oh no, it's all great, man.
Anyway, so back when I did go to college, and I was doing a intro to film class or something, and we watched The Thing, and I had low expectations for it because I'm really not a science fiction person. There are some science fiction movies I like, but I'm not really big into it. And when I saw it, I thought it was done brilliantly, and it was really well executed. And that's one thing I give John Carpenter so many props for, is that he executes his movies so well in such a manner, and it's so well paced. He's just brilliant. But every other movie, I'm going to have to say The Fog, because shit being out in the fog, man. You walk out the door, you go 10 feet, can't see in front of you, and boom, you're dead. It was a good ghost story.
I love how
liked
you
it.
say that John Carpenter executes his films so well. The other thing he does really well is he composes the music for his films so
his
well.
composing
Brilliant,
music
man.
is incredible.
Can't say it enough. Brilliant, man.
Eddie.
I would say The Thing.
Yes.
I mean, not The Thing, They Live. That's what I mean. They Live.
Which is it? They Live or The
They
Thing?
Live is my favorite John Carpenter movie. What I love about that movie, it just pretty much tells you how it is in America.
Yes, give me a high five
And
for that
about
one.
consuming.
Preach, brother, preach. Preach. It has such political meaning, and in the best way that you could push it onto somebody, to push it on an audience. And not only that, but I'm going to give you another reason why that movie is amazing. I came here to do two things.
Oh,
Gas and to chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum.
game copied that?
All of them?
Duke
I don't know.
Nukem.
Duke Nukem, for sure.
Also, what's amazing about that movie is the ridiculously long fight scene between two bodybuilders.
And did you know that whole scene was improvised?
Yes, and they just kept
John
filming
Carpenter-
because they kept going and going, and it was...
Yeah, John Carpenter's
Yes.
like, you guys, well, you used to be pro wrestler. Your body, just give me a fight.
just come on.
And
slap each other
what
around
happened?
a bit.
Well, since you guys picked some very good ones, I don't want to repick. I'm going to pick one that's out there. I'm going to go with Prince of Darkness. It's that classic devil possession movie in John Carpenter's way. He scored it very well. It's a great movie. I mean, it's got Donald Pleasance in it, playing a distraught priest. Have you guys seen this?
I watched it a very long time ago.
Have you?
I don't think I have. It sounds familiar, but I can't recall actually watching it.
Damn it. I picked one that I can't talk with you guys about.
Sorry.
I really think you guys will enjoy it. Basically, the premise is these people are locked in this old abandoned church, and they're doing a investigation. And it turns out, the devil's coming to town. He's going to take the church over.
Like the devil went down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's a really good movie. I had never heard of it for a while. Well, I had heard of it, but I was like, whatever. And I watched it on one of the 4-part series you gave me. I was like, this is a good movie. So I'm going to go with Prince of Darkness.
Awesome.
And I'm going to give a notable recommendation for Village of the Damned.
Yeah.
That was a good one, yeah.
You did good with
And
that?
when wasn't that, if I'm thinking, okay, I might be confusing it with another movie with a similar name, but wasn't that one of the last movies that Christopher Reeve did before he had his terrible accident?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that was one of the reasons what intrigued me, because I love Christopher Reeve and he will always be Superman to me. So when I heard Superman was in a horror movie, I was like, let's do this because it's going to be awesome.
Okay, so we got like 5 minutes left on the show real quick. I want to, out of all the films we talked about with John Carpenter, we all know that he does the scores for almost every one of his films.
Yes.
What was your favorite score? Like,
my favorite
music-wise?
score would have to be Halloween 2. That soundtrack I can listen to for days on end and not ever get sick of it. And it was just an incredible soundtrack.
People may or may not know this if you know me on Facebook, but so I was a music kid. I was a band kid growing up, and so from a musical perspective, the Halloween theme, simply because of what he was trying to accomplish with it and that he achieved it. And it's a brilliant piece of music in terms of how unsettling it is and how it just makes you uncomfortable, and it builds that and it sets that tone, much like the way that Alfred Hitchcock did with his movies.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite. I mean, the Fog soundtrack was amazing too, as was I want to say this was his movie, but I could be wrong. The Howling.
Nope.
That wasn't his? Okay. Though I bought those movies at the same time, and for some reason, I thought they were both done by John Carpenter. I'm not.
You're going to get smacked.
I know.
Me, I got to go with They Live. It's
Yeah.
a classic soundtrack, and the reason I love it is he's able to take the science fiction type music, mix it with horror, and also this weird Western theme, and it just all works, and it's just great.
It's called the 80s, man. It was amazing. Just kidding.
Oh, no. I mean, that's a very true statement. I mean, nowadays in films, I think we get very generic music
Yes.
for a lot of them, and in the 80s, man, it was just the classic old 80s synthesizers make
Right.
horror music.
But there's a downfall in that, because the moment you hear that piece of equipment, you're like, this has got to be made in the 80s, or this has got to be taking place in the 80s. Like, it's so associated with that decade.
Very true.
But so from us here at the Cryptic Creepshow, happy birthday, John Carpenter. And for those of you listening, be sure to tune in next week. We are going to do horror and literature. That's going to be our show. Eddie's going to come back and he's going to discuss horror comics with us, so that'll be awesome.
Yep.
We air every Saturday on this station from 3 to 5 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time. For those of you that don't know what Mountain Standard Time is, that is an hour ahead of Pacific Standard Time from 3 to 5 p.m. So be sure to keep listening, because without you, we don't have a show, and we like talking about this type of stuff. So keep listening to us.
And definitely, if you guys have any questions for us or stuff you want to hear us discuss, or for our next show going on the horror literature, go ahead and put those questions on our Facebook with your name. Well, obviously your name will already appear, but give us those questions and we will discuss that stuff on the next show.
Or if there's a band you would like to recommend, please let us know. Obviously, we want to keep it more of the dark realm of music, so more of your hardcore, metal, horror punk, like stuff like that.
You know, we all like hip-hop, rap, and country,
Right.
but that just
We
does
do.
not fit the genre.
But we kind of want to have a theme on this show, so if you know anybody, especially if they're local, or even if they're within the United States, let us know, and we'll play them and give them some love. Also, if you have know of any events or anything like that, let us know. And just please keep listening. And we appreciate you listening today, so thank you.
Yeah, big shout out to John
Thank you, John.
for giving us this opportunity to make this show on his radio network, AMR.
And also, some love for the other AMR peeps. Check out their shows, too.
The Whatever Lounge?
The Whatever
Great.
Lounge. Those guys are
Whatever Lounge are
hilarious.
great guys.
Hilarious, in fact. So you need to
Yes,
check that
they
out.
are.
So keep listening and keep it spooky.
Definitely. We love you guys. I am Marcus.
I am Mary Mortem.
I'm Eddie.
We will see you guys next Saturday. Bye-bye.